day in and day out, and making sure that money doesn't come your way. There is something much bigger than money that the devil is trying to stop you from getting. The joy that money creates is what the devil doesn't want you to have. And that joy is beyond money. What the devil really doesn't want you to have is not money. It is the confidence that money creates. When you begin to look at money from that perspective, then you start appreciating money more than you do right now. It is what it brings that the devil doesn't want you to have. What money brings, what money creates. So next time you have to understand why the devil doesn't want you to have money. Let's take it to a different level. It's not about money. It is the confidence that only money can create that the devil doesn't want you to have. If you don't have money, there is something bigger that you don't have. You are not sure. You are not confident. You don't have the joy. You may have the joy which is of the Lord, but there is joy that money creates. And you can't have that unless you have money. And I would like people to understand and to appreciate certain benefits that I believe to be spiritual benefits that money produces. There are benefits that are spiritual that you can enjoy as a result of you having money. To a certain extent, it is as though, I wouldn't want to make this a doctrine, but from my study and what I've noticed over time, it seems as though even God himself is drawn by money. It's as if even God's voice is attracted to money. No, it's rather weird what I've just said, but I've told you before how the presence of God would concentrate, number one, in Jerusalem, and then went on to another level of concentration of the presence of God on the temple of God, and then went on again. It gets much more concentrated in the Holy of Holies. Then it keeps on going deeper when you get to the Ark of the Covenant. That is where God said to Moses, right there, we will meet. I will meet with you right at the mercy seat, where you see two cherubs covering the mercy seat with their wings, touching each other. Right there at the center, God said, you come and I'll speak to you from there. And you look at the Ark of the Covenant, it was the most concentrated place in terms of the amount of gold and its percentage. Wow. It was the most refined gold. And God said, if you want to find me, you want me to talk to you, come to where money is. From the most wealthy place, I will talk to you. It's an amazing thing how God is drawn even by money. Real money, not currency. Money. We'll talk about that. Money. Have you noticed, pastors, that there are certain people in the Bible who were not as spiritual as God would expect. Yet they benefited and they got access to certain revelations that are so deep. Just on the basis of them having money, power, and influence. Without any spiritual maturity. All they needed was money for them to get revelations from our God that we think has nothing to do with money. A man goes to bed, he's not born again. And then in a vision, the vision of the night, God brings to his attention an image, and kingdoms were represented from the head to the toe. And every section represented a certain kingdom that was to come. Until the coming of the Messiah in form of a stone that came down without a man's hand throwing it. And it crushed the rest of the kingdoms, and it grew and became a mountain. This king, Nebuchadnezzar, saw the coming of the kingdom of the Lord Jesus Christ and how he would reign on the earth. You look at how many years ago, quite a long time ago. Yet such a man who has never been to the mountain, such a man who has never asked God for revelations like that, we are praying for that. And we are hoping that one of these days, God will open our eyes so that we can see some of these things. Yet somebody who never prayed for it, got it on the basis of his money and influence. Why would God give such a revelation to a man who was not even a prophet? He got it because he had money. Now, when you begin to look at money from that perspective, then you understand that really money can become a divine advantage. By having money, you now have something that you can attract even the voice of God. I'm giving you a very perfect example here.
Yes.
Do you know, had God given that revelation to an elderly woman in Babylon who had no money, probably we were never going to have that scripture in the book of Daniel. So look at God. He has got a revelation, he's got a vision, he has got a prophecy, but he wants this prophecy known. Then he looks at the most potential person. Who can I give this revelation to? Just so that it can be documented. There was need for God to look into the financial life and the economics of the people of the day. And giving such a revelation to a man who had money, who had secretaries, would then write it in books. God had to choose such a man.
Wow.
Had that vision been given to a poor man, we were never going to have that in the Bible. Believe me or not. So God looks sometimes at your economy before he makes certain spiritual deliveries. You need to position yourself. When you start making money, it's not all about making money. God knows that the message that He gives to you can easily be financed. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Remember what I taught on last Tuesday on the publishing of the word. That God gave His word, but great was the company of those that published it. Yes. The word is given, but it calls for people that are great to publish that word. The Bible declares that through prosperity shall His kingdom and His cities be spread abroad. Through prosperity. We cannot talk of the extension of the kingdom of God without money. Now, why are you poor? If there is a reason why the rich are rich, then there must be a reason why the poor are poor. Can you agree with me, pastors, that you can't be rich without a reason?
True, Father.
Then we have to agree again that you can't be poor without a reason. There must be a reason why people are poor. Economic witchcraft. Who is in control of your economy? Who is in charge of your economy? Who manages your economy? Who dictates, who determines what you get and what you don't? Who made you to eat what you ate today? Who decides where you go for holiday? Who controls your thinking? You know, when you look at these things, it's quite interesting because we have so many questions that we are not willing to attend to. And not until such questions are answered, then our economy is yet to be addressed. We have to look at certain outstanding questions that needs immediate answers. Why am I poor? Why is it that I don't have money, yet I have everything else? Who trained me? Who taught me on how best the poverty I have ought to be maintained? Because there is a maintenance of poverty. Because having poverty from the day you were born until you die, I don't know at what age, but having it every single day and not losing it, it means there is a way that that poverty is being maintained. Failure to maintain poverty well, you lose it. Failure to maintain that poverty well. If you keep that poverty in a wrong atmosphere, under bad temperature, it expires and you lose it. And having it for the rest of your life, you know everything else that you keep carelessly, you lose. But then having it on you, every day you go to bed, you rise up in the morning and you still have it and it's on you. There must be a certain temperature that you have maintained from the day you were born that has helped that poverty to survive around you. So what are we going to do today, pastors, is to do an economic witchcraft diagnosis.
Thank you, Father.
We want to diagnose, we really want to dissect, we want to open up individuals, look into their minds and see really where is this witchcraft coming from.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be the source of this witchcraft. You don't want to participate in your misery. You don't want to be part of the people who are making it hard for yourself. So we are going to look at indicators. We are going to look at signs that serves as proof that you have been bewitched. What to look out for, just so that you know that you are a victim of this economic witchcraft. What are those? Maybe today I may give you just 4. There must be indicators, pointers, things that when you look at them, you know, I am a victim of economic witchcraft. You know the problem that we see in the Bible? There is a problem and there are solutions in the Bible. There are problems and there are solutions in the Bible. And it's most likely that every problem that you're going to encounter, somebody has once encountered it. And then, if that's somebody who once encountered the problem that you are currently encountering, got victory over that problem, you must look at it. How did he get the victory over such a similar problem that you are currently faced with? Now, before I give you the first one, there is a man again in the Bible who was the king of Egypt, Pharaoh. This man was never as prayerful as some of you are. And yet he gives a very vivid description of his spiritual experience at the river in the book of Genesis, chapter 41. I wanted to look at that, Genesis 41.
Yes, Father.
Verse number 1.
Verse number 1. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river.
And it came to pass at the end of the 2 full years.
Yes.
That who?
Pharaoh dreamed.
He had a dream.
And behold, he stood by the river.
Now, I would want people to really look at something here. I may not have enough time to touch on the river aspect. It is important that you don't only look at what Pharaoh is looking at. It is equally important that you consider where he was made to stand. You see, places are very important, and not just what is being seen by the dreamer. The mention of the river there is very critical. Very critical. Because it deals with something to do with the flow. But I'll come back and teach on that, the importance of a river, not just what he then saw. He was made to stand at a river, and then something came out of the river that you wouldn't expect to come out of the river.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, Father.
7 kinds that came out of that river.
Yes, Father.
You can read it.
And behold, there came up out of the river.
Came up out. Came up out. So whilst Pharaoh was standing at the river, he saw something that came up first from the water and then out. Then that thing went to the riverbanks and started feeding. You can read it.
There came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine.
They were well-favored kine.
And fat-fleshed.
Fat-fleshed. Yes.
And they fed in a meadow.
Yes. So from the river, they went on to feed. Now, notice that they are not fed because they were feeding on the meadow. When they came out of the water, you wouldn't expect cattle to come out of the water, come out of the river. But when they came up and out, they were fed already.
Yes.
Now they went on to feed. Not so that they become fat. They went on to feed so that they would maintain their stature. Meaning wherever these kinds are coming from, they were feeding. They had a way of maintaining their lives wherever they are coming from. They are not starting to eat here. Wherever they are coming from, they've been feeding on something. So what they're doing here is only to continue with their lifestyle. Okay? So they are feeding. And then he kept on looking.
And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river.
After them, out of the same river.
Ill-favored and lean-fleshed.
Lean-fleshed.
And stood by the other kine.
These ones, they came out and they stood by the other kine. Yes.
Upon the brink of the river.
Now look at what they did. These thin kine.
Stood by the other kine.
The other kine that were feeding on the meadows, right?
Yes, Father.
Now these ones that are thin, poor, broke, stood by the ones feeding.
And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine.
They fed on the 7 well-favored kine. They did not eat the grass, nor the leaves. These are kine that are feeding on flesh instead of the vegetation. They are feeding on meat. They have a wrong diet. You have to follow this. You have to follow this. They are eating, but they are eating the wrong thing. So you can tell what made them to become what they are. What we have seen them do at the bank of the river is exactly what they used to do wherever they are coming from. The fat are fat because they are feeding on the right stuff. The thin are thin because they are feeding on the wrong stuff. The rich are eating right. And the poor sometimes are poor because they're trying to feed on the rich. What the rich are spending most of their time doing is not what the poor are spending most of their time doing. The poor are not feeding on what the rich are feeding on. The rich, the well-favored kind, were focusing on the right diet, and the poor were focusing on the rich. Now, I want you to keep on reading now. We want to see something there that is happening.
Verse 5. And he slept and dreamed the second time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good.
And it devoured again. The same thing happened.
Yes.
I don't want to spend much time on that because that's not what I'm here to teach on. But I want people to understand that poverty, lack, and insufficiency thrives more in the absence of vision. Vision. What has brought Africa to where it is today is vision deficit, prophetic deficit. We lack focus. We lack focus. In the absence of a financial vision, poverty thrives. There is need that you have leadership that specializes in dreams and visions. And then a department that deals with the interpretation of those visions and dreams. Then you have a stable economy. Because famine must be perceivable. There must be a gifted person among us who can run to and fro into the future and pre-live for us upcoming events. See on our behalf. That's the responsibility of a watchman. A watchman must be given an advantaged place where he is placed far above everyone else. The most elevated place in this society must be given to a watchman. That most elevated position, you must never have the king of Israel sitting there. That position is never for judges. That position is for the watcher. And then that person, his duty is to then blow the trumpet in case there is an enemy approaching. It is not the work of the king or the president to be watching over the city. The leader must rely on the watcher, the man who sees beyond. And there must be a supporting structure, a position, an elevated place created for the watcher, so that from there he can see what is yet to come. I want our people to understand this. It matters where you place your watcher. If you say that's the highest position, I want to sit there myself, you have a problem in the city.
Wow.
Pharaoh was prophetic, but his dream needed an interpreter. Now magicians were called to come and interpret the dream. They failed. Even witches were invited. They failed. Until the butler and say to the king, now I remember there was a man. He once had dreams. And then he interpreted our dreams whilst we were in prison. That man is gifted in the area of interpretation of dreams. Call him. Let him try. I'm sure, King, you're going to have an interpretation today. And immediately Joseph was invited to come. Then he gave the interpretation to the king. And then he told the king that don't look at how many dreams that you've had. It's just one dream. And the reason why the dream was doubled, it is because this thing is from the Lord, and God will hasten to fulfill it. God will be so quick to bring this thing to pass. There's going to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of drought, scarcity, poverty. And the 7 years of lack shall be so great that even the 7 years of plenty shall be forgotten. It's going to be terrible. So what do I do? And Joseph said, find a man who is discreet and wise. That was his recommendation. Appoint a discreet man who is also wise. Discreet means an ability to discern. Don't do that yourself, king. Find, appoint. So in other words, kings must understand, or especially presidents must understand, that they are appointed to appoint. Their responsibility is not always to do everything by themselves. Their responsibility is for them to identify people with responsibilities. O king, find a man who is discreet and wise, and appoint him. Let him be in charge. And it was so strategic. I'll have to come back and show you how that was implemented, how that advice was implemented.
Yes,
I think maybe next time.
Yes, please.
Because there you are going to see solutions that we need, even in Africa.
Wow.
In that chapter, from beginning to end, I will show you how easily we can correct our economies in Africa. Right there in your Bible. I'll explain that to you. But I want to touch, number one, on financial illiteracy. This is an indicator. This is a pointer. This is a red flag. Do you understand what money is? Do you know what money is? Have you ever been taught on money? If you don't understand what money is, then probably you have a problem. That's why you're failing to find it, because you don't know what it is. The fact that you have been to school and you have studied law, what you have studied is law. It is not finance. You can be the best version of yourself when it comes to law. But when that lawyer finally gets money as a result of what he knows to do best, he remains broke, because it is never finance, it is never money that he understands. It is the law. You can be the best engineer, but it matters what you know concerning the money that you will get as a result of engineering. This is something very important. People must understand that of the 40 parables that Jesus gave, 11 of those had to do with money. 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 People must get to a point where they realize that Jesus, when he was on the earth, he spoke more about money than even hell. He spoke more about money than even heaven. Majority of the parables where he didn't even mention money. But if you study carefully, there were some characters that would result in you having money. It wasn't all about righteousness. No. But if there was need for Jesus to teach his disciples concerning money, it means financial literacy is very necessary. We need to understand what money is. So, where is witchcraft coming from? Whoever stopped you from understanding money has bewitched you. Some of you are coming from places where money was never a topic. You were never allowed to even call it money. You were never allowed even to ask for it. Never allowed to discuss money. And some of you are even products of churches where the man of God doesn't want to talk about it, and yet from Monday up to Sunday, that's what you're looking for. And you don't want the man of God to include that in his teaching. you are in the wrong place. You need somebody who can educate you in as far as your money world is concerned. Do you know what money is? And most of the people that we think are educated today, what they know is something else, not finances. And because we don't know what money is, this is the reason why we leave money in Africa. We fly all the way to look for money. And because they know that you don't know what money is, they give you what is not money, or what money is not, in exchange for money. Oh, yeah. You need somebody who can teach you on the importance of money. That if you are not in control of your economy, you are not in control of anything. If you are not in control of your economy, then there is nothing else that you are controlling. Oh, you see, there was a need for a person in your life to bring you to a place of understanding where you begin to look at money in a different way. If there was no such a person in your life, then probably you are the person. You have to grab your son by the hand and you lead him into real truths concerning money. You remold his worldview, his understanding of money. Let your son know that money is never the root of all evil. It is the love of money, not money. Educate your son. Give your son information. Money is never bad. Money is good. Son, you need money. You need money. You will notice that a message that God would have given to you will not come to you. It would be attracted to another person who has money. And what is going to attract that message to him is not his spirituality. It is his money. Visions that are coming from heaven, they will end up gravitating towards a certain concentration of finances where there is more money. You don't want to end up having your God sending certain guys who are not as educated as you are in the things of the spirit simply because they have money. Do you know there are people today who are dreaming your dreams? There is a hijacking of dreams where people end up receiving instructions from your God because they have what it takes to fulfill certain assignments. You have the spirituality, your ears are open to hear God at any time, but when it comes to the execution, God knows that you can't. You will have to go and beg people for money before you can accomplish that purpose. So if God really wants that idea and agenda executed with no time, he goes straight to somebody who is resourceful. Not because you don't qualify spiritually, but because you don't qualify financially and economically. Whoever told you that money is not important bewitched you. That man is your number one enemy. Whoever told you that money is not important Whoever told you that money cannot make you happy, you should have asked that man, does poverty make you happy? If having money doesn't make you happy, not having it doesn't make you happy neither. If money is not important to you, then it means you have somebody else's money that you're spending. You are that thin kind that is feeding on the rich kind, and yet your life is not changing. If you then later on look at how Joseph interpreted it, he said even after they swallowed the well-favored kind, still their structure and their stature never changed. It's amazing how you keep feeding, how you keep getting, and yet your life doesn't change. You have to investigate why. Money is very important. You need money. If you are really serious about having your economy changed, you have to come as close as you can to your gadget. You have to look at me closely. Let me help you. Most of what you heard concerning money is wrong. This is the most accurate information that you need, that can help you improve your life. Without money, you can never do much. Believe you me. Without money, you can't do much. You can't do much. And by money, I don't mean currency. I mean money. You need money. You need money. How many best soccer players that you know that once had money, they are so broke today? Many. What's the reason? It is only soccer that they know. It is football. Their understanding, all of it revolves around that little ball, that skin of an ox. Their mind can never go beyond that ball. And when that ball finally introduces them to money, they can't perform all those skills that you see them performing in the pitch, in the ground. You can be educated, but do you know what money is? If what you know has nothing to do with money, then the day that money arrives, then you realize that there was a need for you to be educated in as far as money is concerned. What you're doing in life, if that finally gives you money, then you understand that money is something that you don't understand. When what you know finally gives you money or brings you money, then that day you realize that you needed to know money and not just what you know to do best. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on educating yourself. Keep on acquiring more knowledge in as far as your career is concerned. But what are you going to do when finally that career brings you the money that you don't understand how to spend it? Financial illiteracy is a sign that you have been bewitched. Know what money is and what it is not. That's point number 1. Point number 2, misplaced value. Misplaced value. You must put your value in the right place, where it belongs. Sometimes we overvalue things, and sometimes we undervalue things. And that misplacement of value is as a result of you again not having been thoroughly taught on finances. Do you really know what carries value? I remember some time back we used to stay in a place called Brodel Brook. You know, that gated community. Yes, nice place. But just before we enter through the gate on your left, there was a supermarket. I don't know if it is still there. Went in there, bought some things, and somebody noticed that it was me. He wasn't a member of our ministry, but he was so glad he saw me. And right from the till, after having paid for what I'd bought, he accompanied me to the car, carrying my things, pushing the trolley. When we got to the car, I blessed him with all the blessings that you can think of. I told him that your light will never go off. God will cause his face to shine upon you. Thank you so much for accompanying me. I looked at him, I looked at his face. He didn't understand what was happening. Then I knew that he needed something different. Reached out into my pocket and gave him some money. Then he was so happy. Suddenly his face changed. I could see joy, excitement, energy. He took the money. He left. Had I known his understanding of value, I wouldn't have wasted my time, placing a blessing upon him. He was happy receiving money from a blessed man and not the blessing. Misplaced value. Do you understand the value? Do you understand the value of things? Misplaced value. You see, we were discussing with my wife on the best ways we can help people. I've shared this with you before. How best can we help people? How best? How best? And we reached a conclusion that the best we can help people is never their best. There are times when what you are giving out is your best, and yet your best is never their best. And in those circumstances, you are never going to be appreciated. if your best is not their best, even if your best is their best, unless they understand the value of the best that you have done for them, they will never appreciate you. Is your best his best? That is what some of you are doing. Even in a marriage setup, you can be doing your best for your partner, but unless your best is his best, you will never be appreciated. You must understand how the person values what you're doing for him. Not only the value that you have put on what you're doing, but the value that he has put on what you are doing for him. A misplaced value is a sign that somebody is under witchcraft affliction. Whoever brought him up, trained him in a certain way. Failure to recognize value is proof that you are under a witchcraft spell. If you value things that do not have value, and you undermine things that have value, can you discern the value of a thing? Can you listen to me today and then listen to somebody else and understand the difference, our difference in value? Misplaced value. It's fun. Do you know what is important? So we're discussing. What do you think is the best that we can do for the people? Then we begin to study. The people that are poor, what do they need? And we begin to look at names given to them. Disadvantaged people. It means they are disadvantaged. They do not have advantages. Oh my God. They are poor because they are lacking advantages. They do not have advantages that other people have. So the best we can do is to give them advantages. Let us come up with advantages, not cash. Advantages. But are you sure that the disadvantaged will celebrate an advantage? No. Misplaced value. They celebrate cash. Whoever brings to them an advantage is never celebrated. Disadvantaged. The less privileged. We are looking at their names. The less privileged. Less. What is less is a privilege. So they don't have a privilege. So what do we give to them? A privilege. Because we've realized that they are in that state because what they don't have is an advantage, is a privilege. They lack opportunities. So let us create opportunities for them to make money. And it is not opportunities that they want. It is cash. So when you move around distributing advantages and opportunities to the poor, you will never be regarded as a generous person in our society. Unless you start giving people money, which is the wrong thing. there must be a creation of an environment where poor people can extract value out of. They can be effective. You give them a place where they can work and qualify themselves for the cash. If you give them the cash that they are unqualified for, that this is why, it will soon depart from them. Because the day that money arrives, it will look for those qualifications. Have you worked for me? So there must be the creation of that environment. And you have to thank people who have brought you to those places where you can now work and qualify yourself even for a salary. So present before them, I have an opportunity. I have an advantage that I have for you. I have a privilege and I have cash. Choose. You know what they'll go for? Cash. Cash. This is why they will never get fed. Because they are feeding on the wrong thing. It's a wrong diet. If you have placed your value on wrong things, wrong places, wrong people, people that should never be in your life. Who are those people? It's amazing, pastors, how, I've identified principles in the Bible that are so hard to identify. Where you have in the Old Testament a prophet by the name Elisha. He has a servant. He's armor bearer. And then he hands over to him a rod that carries his anointing. And he tells him, go and put this rod on that young man who is dead, and he will come back to life. And the prophet remained, he stayed in the mountain, convinced that his servant, given the anointing and the grace that he now carries, is going to execute that resurrection mission. He's going to raise this young boy from the dead. But something very critical was given to him in form of a direct order, an instruction. Do not greet anyone in the way. Salute no man. Then he got to the place, placed the rod on the young man. And there was no resurrection, but took place. Until the prophet picked it prophetically that I have to follow and do this by myself. Did he greet somebody? I don't know. But why would the prophet say, salute no man? Why? If saluting a man is a form of respect, had it ended there, I wasn't going to have a problem. Now you have Jesus telling his disciples, enter not into the cities of the Gentiles. You see, he said, I've come only for the lost sheep of Israel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And he tells them, go for those But don't enter into the house or into the cities of the Gentiles. Okay? Not because we are inferior. Get that? Don't make a mistake there to think that so Jesus didn't prefer us. He preferred only the Jews. No, he said, I have come for the lost sheep of Israel. That doesn't mean that he didn't come for us. No. No. The lost sheep of Israel. It was Israel that was lost, not us. Okay.
Wow.
So they needed more attention than us, the Gentiles. We were never lost as Gentiles because we never had the law. We had never broken any law because it had never been given to us. Without the law, there is no sin. Sin was in Israel.
Because they had the law.
They had the law. Okay. That's for another time. But can you imagine that passing through a wrong place would complicate the outcome? You finally get to the Jew, and your assignment gets complicated on the basis of you having interacted or even saluted the Gentile on your way. What is that? He's telling us of a very powerful principle that on your way to your destiny, it matters who you meet and how you interact with certain people. Relationships are very important. There are people that will contaminate your mission if you are not careful. The impartation that you got, the grace, the power, the abilities that you carry can be tampered with by a mere salute. Associations are very critical. Understand that. Not every poison is in a bottle. Certain connections are very toxic. There are people that you should never in your lifetime interact with on a friendly basis. They will complicate your mission and what you're up to. I want you people to understand this. Not every poison is in a bottle. Certain individuals are poisonous. So this is very critical. Misplaced value. You have a person in your life and that person doesn't carry value, and you want to be a person of value. Were you good the day that you got involved in that relationship? Did you have enough information to even choose that person as your friend? Did you understand value when you got married? What were you looking for? Did you have enough knowledge, enough information? We are coming from financial illiteracy.
Yes, into misplaced.
Yes. Misplaced value. There was nobody in your life, no one in your life who taught you on value. And yet you looked at a female figure, and you thought that was a wife. And only to realize 2, 3 years, 5, 6, 7 years down the line, but she's not a wife after all. She's a concept. You could be married to a prototype. That's not what you were looking for. But you made a decision before you were informed. And now knowledge is bombarding you. You now know what to choose after you have already chosen. And you are crying to the Lord, you don't know what to do. You no longer have an opportunity to choose because you have already chosen. You may be married to a husband right now, but maybe that guy is an idea. You're in trouble. You placed value where it doesn't belong. Is that a friend? Is that a man of God? Is that a church? Are you not ashamed that you have cameras zoom on you and you are seen sitting there? Are you not ashamed? Is that a place where smart people can ever be found? See, you have to understand, when you are not trained, when you are not taught, you put value where it doesn't belong. Misplaced value is a sign. It is an indicator that you've been bewitched. You have to follow this because it's very critical and very important. Ingratitude. Number 3. Ingratitude. If you are ungrateful, if you are unthankful, if you are lazy to open your mouth and say, I thank you, then witchcraft is at work in your life. It's something so simple, and yet billions of people cannot do that. Very simple topic. Because everyone who is ungrateful right now thinks they are so grateful. And the reason why they don't know that they are the ones that I'm talking about is because they are under a spell. You think I'm talking about somebody else. I'm talking about you. Do you know that you can take gratitude to a level where it can become an occupation? You can live by gratitude. You can feed your children just by being grateful. Oh my God, I really want to help people here. It's not enough for you to be grateful. You have to be grateful enough. It's not enough for you to be grateful. You must make sure that you are grateful enough. Some of you end where you're supposed to start. I've said this before. Isn't it amazing, pastors, that when you are done wrong, you always have something to say. You never run out of words when you're wronged. But when somebody does something good for you, you say, I don't even know what to say. You hear people say that?
Yes.
I don't know what to say. But had I done you wrong, you were going to have something to say. Who has taken good words away from you? Somebody who brought you up never taught you on how to be grateful. You must have compiled good words before receiving anything good, any help from somebody.
Wow.
It's amazing. Do you know that when we were just starting ministry, there was a day, if some of you pastors can remember, when we moved from the cathedral to the state lottery, and then I realized that the people around me were so broke. And I bought phones for everyone.
Wow.
Everyone. I went and I bought phones. And that service, I was just distributing phones.
Wow.
And I said, I can't get a line for you, but I just want you to communicate. And I said, this is my number. We are going. It's because I wanted people to know that I'm not starting ministry. That was another state. I didn't want people to think I'm starting ministry because I need money.
Wow.
Yeah. Everyone without a phone left with a phone. Brand new. Sealed. But my number was there. If not 3 or 4 people only that send me a thank you message. Everyone who had no phone now had a phone. Now to take that phone and text me to say thank you. Only 3 or 4 people. That tells you that there is a problem. A big one. Yes, for that matter. A big one. Why is it hard for you to show excitement? The person who gave you a t-shirt, had you thanked him enough, he should have brought you a bicycle. And from the bicycle, by now, had you thanked him enough, he could have brought you a car. You can end up having a car in your garage that you got through gratitude, being grateful. Any person who blesses you with whatever thing that he gives to you, he is just trying to find out whether you are the right person. He will get to know after blessing you that you're not the right person. You will find out after giving you. There are people like that, pastors, that as soon as you bless, you lose your joy. And most people are under that kind of a spell that is affecting your economy and gratefulness. Are you thankful enough? Are you thankful enough? Are you thankful enough? I had to apologize to my wife one day because I had shown her message, the message that she sent to me, to some people that I was with. I had done something good for her, and I don't think that she deserves that. She deserved more than that. And she sent me a message thanking me for that gift, of which she's not supposed to thank me to that extent. How she crafted that message, how it was decorated and designed, a text message. And then I'm reading this message away from home, and I'm overwhelmed. I can't believe what I'm seeing. And I'm so much touched. And the pastors that I was with realized that I'm no longer myself. Somebody asked me, "Are you okay, man of God?" I said, "I'm okay. I'm just touched. Sorry guys, I shouldn't be showing you this, but just read this for me." And they are reading this message of gratitude coming from my wife to me. And they were all puzzled. They didn't know what to say. And I had to force them to comment. I said, "What's your take on this? What do you think about this?" They said, we can't believe that this is Mama appreciating you for such a thing. Yet you have done more for us than that. Yet we don't remember ever sending you such a text. It's a serious revelation. Here you have somebody who deserves it, who has worked for it. There is nothing that I have that she never worked for. She found me broke with nothing. Everything we got, everything we acquired, we were together. We worked together. And how can such an individual be the best person of all the people to send you the best message on gratitude? What is the reason? And the moment you are thanked like that, you start feeling like. In fact, one of the pastors said, this is what he said. He said, "My father, in as much as Mama is saying she doesn't deserve this, isn't this the reason why she deserves even more than what you did for her?" I said, "You are right."
Oh, wow.
And I realized that he was telling me something. That he has got a different experience at home. His wife thinks she deserves. Whoever taught you and trained you to be ungrateful bewitched you. He has affected your economy. Whoever blessed you must come back again and bless you if you were grateful enough. If he is not coming back, if he is never coming back to bless you again, it is because he has realized that you are the wrong guy. Are you thankful enough? Are you lazy to thank those around you that have been helpful? A card, a text message, a visit. You are making yourself poor. I've told you from the beginning that there is a way that you are maintaining this poverty. Otherwise, it would have left you long time ago. But you are doing something which is so deliberate to maintain this poverty. That's number 3, right?
Yes, Father.
The last one for today. Debt. Debt. Debt is not a blessing. It's a sign. That you're bewitched. You need to be set free. Proverbs 22, verses 6 and 7.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verses 6 and 7. Train up a child in the way he should go.
That's financial literacy there. Train up a child. Some of you missed that class. You never had such a teacher who would train you from a tender age on how money works, on the importance of valuable people, on gratitude. You were never trained on all these areas that I've highlighted. As a child, you lacked that. That is why right now as I'm talking to you, you are like devastated. You don't know what to do. Because you're saying to yourself, I should have had this years ago. But it's coming to you today. But thank God you're still a child. You can learn. Train up a child in the
way.
There is a way. There must be the right path. Like I promised you, I will teach you on the pathway of money.
Yes.
Train up a child in the way. Yes.
He should go.
He should go.
And when he is old, he will not depart from it.
He will not depart. That information, that knowledge will keep drawing him back to that way. A way of doing things. Train up a child. Now he's telling you now the area.
Okay.
Yes. Remember those verses were not there.
Yes, Father.
Okay, like verse 6 and verse 7. It was continuous.
Yes, Father.
Now, this is the area where you need to train your child. Yes?
The rich.
Teach your son, your daughter, that the rich
ruleth over the poor.
The rich ruleth over the poor.
And the borrower
is
servant to the lender.
To the lender. The borrower is servant to the lender. The borrower is servant. Whether the borrower is a country, that country is a servant to the lender. So we are not just talking of individuals here. If all that your country is doing is borrowing, then you have not just a country, you have a servant. Your country is a slave. Whoever it is that you're going to put in positions of power, authority, what they are running is a slave. That country will behave like a slave. It will act like a slave. It will think like a slave, borrowing. A slave. You are a slave to the lender. I'm not just talking about African countries here. Even the so-called rich countries, as long as some of them they owe in trillions, they are slaves. They are slaves. They are slaves. The United States of America is a slave. And the people, the citizens, are slaves. How do you escape the servanthood of a country if you are a citizen of such a country? Which means even if you are going to be doing business in Zimbabwe, you can never claim to be free if that business is accommodated, is being run in a slavery nation. If the nation is a slave, whatever you do in such a country, you have your business in the hands of a slave. Harassment will never end. Torture will never end. Endless investigations. You'll never be cleared. You get investigated for every little thing that you do. Why? Because slaves are never expected to rise above their bosses. There's a slavery atmosphere in the country. Even in those developed countries, they borrow almost everything. A loaf of bread, you have to borrow. Can you imagine? Any shop that you get into, it's not cash that you use. It's credit. Slaves. And debt is what then creates what I call an artificial economy. It's an artificial economy. When you are in debt, sometimes you become too talkative because what you're trying to do is just to keep up the appearances. You talk too much like you're the most powerful. It's a cover-up. It's a cover-up. If you are in debt as an individual, you create this economy that I'm saying, that I'm calling artificial. Why fake it? If you can have it. You'll have to incur the cost of maintaining a lie. Read Proverbs 13. Verse 7. Proverbs 13, verse 7. You will find an artificial economy.
Oh.
Ah.
There is that maketh himself rich.
There is a person, an individual, a guy, there is a girl that maketh herself rich.
Yet hath nothing.
Nothing. According to the Bible standard of wealth, he has nothing. Yet this person is putting on a shirt. This person might be having something, maybe a tie, but the Bible is saying he has nothing. According to financial standards, he has nothing. But he goes around making himself rich. Yet
hath nothing.
He has nothing. There was an investigation done on this gentleman. And they found out that this man had nothing. Yet the image that he portrays out there, it's like he has everything. But
there is that maketh himself poor.
There is another individual that makes himself poor, yet
hath great riches.
These are two different individuals.
Wow.
That have disturbed your thinking right now. Guys out there that are good at making themselves rich and yet they have nothing. Artificial economy. Because they've realized that they are never going to have it. So why not fake it? And the problem of faking it is that it creates unnecessary pressure for those of you that are looking up to such an individual and you're being inspired by a mirage, something that doesn't exist. And you may even be under pressure if your wife cannot discern such an individual, because she comes home, she wants to understand, why is it that things are so hard only for you and yet other men out there are making it? I hear he has bought another car. I hear he has built another house. Woman, do you have proof? Because there is he that maketh himself rich and yet he has nothing. Do you have what it takes to discern, to investigate, and to find out whether those people are really rich or not? And when you leave your house now under that kind of pressure, you can no longer perform at your maximum capacity because you feel like you are behind time. And yet in most cases, you are even ahead of the guy that you're trying to compete with. All he does, he goes to a car hiring service company. He borrows a car for 3, 4, 5 months. He brings it home. And he tells you, I've just bought a car. And that guy, some of you listening to me, is your witch. That guy is your wizard. Because the pressure that he is now creating for you. Yet the little that you have in your house, you never borrowed it. You paid cash and no one is bothering you. No one is following you up for a payment. There are well-developed countries nowadays where you can go get a car, 0 deposit. You are seen driving it around. You haven't paid anything for it. Who cannot do that? All that, it's artificial economy. You see, I want people to know and to learn this. How do I know whether this person really has money or not? When you don't have money. In fact, before we get to that, when you work and then you get the money as a result of having worked for it, there is something that you lose in the process of working for that money. Before you gain money, there is something that you lose. Arrogance.
Oh, wow.
When you are working so that you get money, before you get money, there is something that you lose in the process of working. Being pompous. You work that out. But when money comes, without you having worked enough for it, there is some cockiness that remains in you. People that have really worked so hard and so smart for their money, they are very calm. When there is a qualification in you, a qualification that qualifies you for money, you become steady. When you want people to know that you have money, you don't have it. The day you have money, you will not want people to know that you have it. Follow me. Follow me. If you still want people to think and to know that you have money, you don't need another proof. You don't have it.
These are gems.
The guy who moves around telling people that I have money, he doesn't have money. The day you find money, my brother, my sister, when you now have money, you fear people. You want people to think that you have it because you don't have it. The day you find it, the day you have money, you don't want people to know that you have it. You'll be in trouble. You will be in trouble. Don't be bothered by people that you think have. There is nothing. There is nothing. There is nothing. I know places, pastors, where you can go. I can hire any type of a jet. You can fly it into your country, keep it in your hangar, anywhere. Do you know, you can hire a plane. During that time when you have it, they can even write your name on the plane. And because people are so foolish, they don't know there is all these facilities out there ready to scratch other people's egos. There are businesses that are surviving on that. They know there are people out there who are so pompous. They want to portray a certain image. And these are people that are putting pressure on you now. Instead of focusing on your path and you move according to your pace. That guy who is telling you that he has more money than you is even admiring you. Because what you have, he doesn't have. He knows you more than you know him. I hope our people are following this. You have to understand. You have to hide it. When you find money, you have to hide money. So, child of God, I want you to be very, very careful now. These are pointers. This is a red flag. Pastors, you know, we used to have very rich white guys in this country who owned thousands of acres. Right?
Yes, Father.
And the reason why Zimbabwe was once the breadbasket of Africa, it wasn't because of all the Zimbabweans, few individuals. They used to have their own planes. Remember, those are the planes they were using to spray their fields.
Yes, Father.
Planes. But you never saw any of those planes in the newspaper that he has a plane. You meet with him, he has got a very short. Look at the shoe he's putting on.
Farmer shoe. Yeah.
Farmer's shoe. There is something that work does to the worker. If you're still arrogant, you haven't qualified yourself for the money that you claim to have. When you work for money, there is something that you work out of your system and out of your character. Hard work humbles you. You become submissive. You understand other people. You become more gracious. When you have money that you have qualified yourself for, hear this and hear it from me. Don't let anyone lie to you. This pressure is unnecessary. You are better than most guys out there. Move with your pace. Stop looking up to people who are below you. All they know to do, what you don't know to do, is talk too much. Become the best version of yourself. Don't allow anyone to manipulate your pace. Don't let anyone make you complain before God. Why fake it if you can have it? There is a cost of maintaining that lie. Keep on working smart until you get to that level that you desire. As long as your children have enough, as long as you and your wife can have enough, as long as you can have surplus so that you can look after those you love, you are rich. You are blessed. So, child of God, I want you to take note of this. These are issues, these are areas that can serve as indicators. You know you have been bewitched when your value is misplaced, when your understanding of finances is limited, when you're ungrateful, and when you're in debt. These four, there are more. I've just given you 4. Debt is not good for you. It steals away your joy. You are not a happy father. If someone is after you, you are not a happy man if you have gone beyond the deadline. You're not happy. And the systems of the world right now are designed to make sure that you live like a slave. There is no good bank on the earth. They were there during Jesus' time. When he gave the parable, he said, the master said to the servant, you should have maybe put my money in the bank for a profit. There was still profit in those days. You can't find a bank that is good. You come in, you present your proposal. They give you money, knowing that you can't pay it back. These are institutions put in place by the enemy to make sure that you become a slave to the lender. They look at your proposal and you're so excited, happy. When they look at it, they know with this kind of a business and this character that we have seen across the table, this guy can never repay this loan. Guess what? You are the person that they are looking for. Because you have attached the actual money that you have, which is your house. That's money. Then they give you the currency in the form of debt. Knowing that, this kind of a brain, this guy. So after you are gone, they are shaking hands, celebrating. We got ourselves a new property. They know, even before the term expires, they know they have a property, they have the real money. So they give you the currency. And on your way back home, down the elevator, there is a big smile on your face and you're thanking God for the loan. When you get back home, the slave is back. You must come up with a strategy right now of repaying. Get to a point one day where you know you owe nobody anything except love. Work towards that day. And I know you can. With this grace and this anointing, you can. Such a day is coming when you know that I owe nobody anything. Such a day is coming. And you will experience the peace that the devil never wanted you to. Now you will know that this is what the devil never wanted me to have. It was never money, but the joy that only money can create. The peace that only money can create. Who is controlling your economy? If you never had a father who would give you a lecture on money, don't then make a mistake of finding a pastor, a man of God, who is just like your biological father. Let's stop there for today. Thank you so much, pastors, for having me.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. As you're ministering, at some point I said to myself, am I not one of those that would have wanted to hear this maybe 22 years ago? But unfortunately, as I kept on thinking, I said to myself also, would I have been able to assimilate this? Would I have been mature enough to ingest this? This is the word for the season. You know, Father, sometimes in life when things don't go according to plan, you always look for somebody to blame. And as I was listening as you were ministering, I felt this was more of me than anybody else. I think empowering an individual is giving them the ability to take control of their destiny. And that is what you have been doing. You have removed us from that place where, in as much as they may be economic witchcraft, probably things that are done beyond our control, but I think the greater part of it stems from what we understand about money and our own lives. You know, this is diagnosis of witchcraft from within, where it is the decisions that we make based on what we know or what we understand that defines who we are. Things like ingratitude. You know, I never really understood it from this perspective that gratitude can be a way of life. But when you then explained it, it became apparent to me that by reason of the way we express our thankfulness, our gratitude, we have either cultivated more or we have created a deficit within ourselves. And probably we are where we are on the basis of how we've responded. And you look at things like financial illiteracy. Father, one thing that just popped in my mind was to look at how Africa takes the begging bowl to Europe. And yet what is in Europe is not money. Bringing to the fore a very important point that you highlighted, that money is not currency. You know, of all the things that you have explained when it comes to financial illiteracy, money is not currency. If somebody were to omit that, then their understanding would be skewed. Father, in life, sometimes we look at other people and we compare ourselves to them. But we don't understand what is behind what seems to be success. And it puts pressure on us. Sometimes, like you rightfully said, it may be a mirage. But that mirage only takes lessons like this to then understand that it may be a mirage. I might have my own way. But comprehending your way sometimes, it's not easy. It's not easy. And we compare. You look at a person in the UK right now, in South Africa right now, probably got a car on 0% deposit and they're driving a very nice car. And you say to yourself, I was in the same class with this guy. I grew up in the same neighborhood with this guy. But you forget that what you drive is not on debt. The life that you live is not on debt. And it takes insight from such teachings for one to really comprehend. One of the things that you highlighted, my father, this morning, that I said to myself, hey, this is becoming something else. Understanding or misplaced value. You know, it's always difficult, my father, for one to appreciate a blessing over value, what they perceive as value, over money.
Oil versus the envelope,
Exactly. And that one, even men of God, sometimes they'll fail that test. But thank you for your teaching this morning. Thank you, my father. It really means a lot to me. Thank you.
Father, thank you so much. We're so grateful for a delivery that you've given.
I'm also grateful.
You wanted to say that before leaving without being grateful. Father, as you can see, we are learning right away.
It's an occupation.
Wow.
Thank you so much, my Father. We have had such a splendid time. Financial education. Economic Witchcraft Part 2 by The Voice. We remain eternally grateful and thankful
that God has loved us so much to avail His special gift to us, packaged over many, many years of going through the fire and being smelted by the word and finally brought to perfection, and we get to enjoy this gift, the voice. And we know that you enjoyed this service. Until we meet again next time, shalom.